You are welcome to SBC 103D, that is Protection Agencies and Community Relations. And we're still talking about the fifth unit where we are speaking about community-based policing approach. And for the preceding session, you were introduced to the concept of community-based policing approach, but you have wondered why this approach was adopted by the police. This is exactly what this session seeks to address. The factors that precipitated the adoption of this approach of community-based policing. And as it has always been, it promises to be interesting. So I urge you to take part in the discussion as we move along. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify the factors that are responsible for the adoption of the community-based policing approach. Explain the factors that are responsible for the adoption of this approach to policing. Now, we need to talk about the factors that has led to community-based policing approach. And there are several factors that are accounted for this approach. And below are some of the factors, not exhaustive in a way, but then factors that have led to the creation of the community-based policing approach. And the first that we talk about will be socialization of children by parents to fear or distrust the police. Some parents in the past have socialized their children to fear the police and not to even open up to them when they clearly have information with regards to crime in the community. Some of us have been told that if we divulge sensitive information to the police, some officers could reveal your identity to the deviants and those involving the crime. And this could potentially lead to some harm being done to you by the gang and could lead even to your death. Some of these were based on personal experiences of extended family members with the police in the past. And this notion of the police not being trustworthy has warranted the need of the police to adopt this approach in order to address this issue and build trust among community members. I hope you get it. Excellent. The second factor that we will talk about will be unfriendliness towards the police. And due to the distrust that has gone on between the police and the community, they often express unfriendly attitude towards each other. As we have witnessed instances in some communities where the least misunderstanding between the police and then the community, the police stations were burnt down and some officers are assaulted. Issues such as these precipitated the adoption of this approach to policing to address such issues. I hope you get it better. The third factor that we consider will be confidence in the police ability has decreased. And the police confidence in the ability of combating crime from the public perspective has significantly in recent times decreased. And the combined effect of this alleged corruption, as we have discussed previously, unresolved criminal cases, police officers engaging in criminal enterprises and political interference in the work of the police have led to the dwindling in public confidence in the police. And this had made it necessary for the police to engage the community in order to win back the lost confidence. The fourth thing that we will talk about is less contact by the police with citizens. And obviously, until recently, the police were confined to the stations and their barracks and hardly mingle with the citizenry. You only saw the police in the community when there are issues of crime and they are to arrest the suspect. And I remember when we were young, anytime you see the police in the community, we would run and hide ourselves because of their mere presence in the community and bad attitudes, which include rude, corrupt, violent, and so on and so forth, needs to be kept. And as a result, there should be a need for the public to be educated. Not all police officers were bad in the first place. And opinions that seems to suggest for the situation. The next thing that we talk about will be response to social change. The nature of crime, for instance, is changing, and old ways of dealing with crime has become obsolete. Crimes such as terrorism, sophisticated money laundering schemes, internet fraud, failure requires collaboration between the community and the police in order to address them. Furthermore, there is a rise in the middle class, and the citizenry is progressively getting civic education. Therefore, there is a need for the police to change their ways of combating crime and deviance for efficient delivery of police service. The next thing that we talk about will be complaints from people, and this is mainly done by minority groups. And as you might be aware, and you know, per our previous discussion, we spoke about minorities. An example of such minorities would be slums dreadless or settlers that always complain about unfair targeting and stereotype of the police, which leads to constant harassment. Almost all the swoops to arrest suspects takes place in slum areas where we have a lot of ethnic minorities and migrants. And the question is, do we have criminals in a well-designed estate in the city? Why do you always say members of the Rastafarian Council or members within the Rastafarian are mostly criminals? And as a result, they have complained about how the police unfairly targets them for search when they are traveling. The last thing we talk about will be the police and citizens having different perspective on how crime is caused and how to respond to it. This is self-explanatory, and this is as a result of the differences in perspective, where there should be a need for the two factions to interact and reach agreement on such issues of concern to them. I hope you understand that. Good. Any question? Yes, so you have been taken through factors that have accounted for the emergence of the community-based policing approach. And if you carefully follow the discussion, you realize that the factors are into two folds. The one coming from the police and the other one coming from the community members. I believe you understand it better. Okay, so join me as we move to the next session by talking about police professionalism. And as the topic is, it promises to be interesting, and I believe you will love it. Until we meet for that, bye for now. Thank you.